Hi guys, welcome back to the MCM Buzz Stage. We are here live in MCM Manchester and I am so happy to see you guys. Are you happy to be here? Excellent, because we have a fantastic first guest for you from Star Trek The Next Generation. Please welcome Denise Crosby.
Thank you so much.
Hang
on. Don't you love these things?
That wakes you up, doesn't it?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that fed right into the brain.
So it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much.
In rainy Manchester, a bit different from California that you're used to.
Wow. I mean, I left, it was, 90 degrees or something, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Fahrenheit. Whatever that is in
I was going to say we're boiling,
yeah,
literally.
Right. not Celsius. Yeah, what is that, like 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit?
A lot. But you obviously grew up in California. You're a true Hollywood girl.
I know. One of the rare breeds that actually was born there. How can we
Should we hold it down maybe a little bit? A bit here.
How's that? Good? You guys can hear me? Yeah. Okay, good.
We're good. And so growing up in Hollywood, did you go to school with sort of many showbiz families? Is there that kind of...
I did go to Hollywood High, where a lot of really famous people came out of. John Ritter went there, Carol Burnett went there. A lot of industry people that worked behind the scenes, their kids went there. But Hollywood was certainly a lot smaller. Los Angeles feels to me so much bigger now than when I was growing up. What is that reverb coming from?
We have a ghost in the system.
Yeah, I think it's bouncing off the speakers.
I think so. So growing up there, was there any kind of sort of expectation then that you were going to go into showbiz?
I come from a family of entertainers. My grandfather was Bing Crosby. My grandmother, Dixie Lee, was an actress. Actually, she was famous before she married Bing. She was on contract with Fox Studios, so she did a lot of those early musicals. And then my father and his brothers dabbled a little bit in entertainment. It wasn't their thing, except for one of my uncles, Gary, became an actor. He did a lot of the Elvis Presley movies.
Oh, wow.
And was on a TV series in the States called Adam 12. So, and, he did a lot of different variety acts and stuff. I kind of went through a time of rebellion when I just said, there's no way I'm going into show business. It's way too predictable. But then I sort of found my own voice, and it made sense.
So what did you try before acting? I believe you were a model at one point.
I modeled actually here in England.
Oh, really?
I signed with an agency in London when I was about 20 years old, and lived in London for a period and modeled. At that point, I was really trying to find what it was I wanted to do. Journalism and writing had always been a passion of mine in school. I thought that at one point I would try to be a journalist. And I wrote for the school paper, and then this path opened up where I found myself modeling, and then was asked to read for parts through modeling.
So back in that day then, there were some crazy outfits there must have been, and some crazy photo shoots. What do you recall from doing that?
Wow. Oh yeah, the 80s.
The big hair.
Some really strange, a lot of spandex, and punk rock was just starting to have its heyday, and London was quite the epicenter of all of that. So I was doing a lot of really wild and colorful photo shoots, and a lot of fashion shows that were very theatrical and wild, and it was quite a exciting, fun time to be in London, actually.
Bright and crazy.
Yeah, yep.
And are you still writing? Because I understand you like doing short stories.
I love writing, and I want to get back to it. My son is just starting college this fall, so it sort of opens a window up for me now. You know, I've got to. Oh, look! Wow, you have there we are, the 80s. That's so funny. This is very
That's colorful.
If this was in color, this would be wild, popping. So yeah, I want to get back to writing, and I have a book that I want to start to work on. It's actually sort of autobiographical about my mother and I growing, being really with her under this sort of banner, how she fought to regain custody of me from my family. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a David and Goliath story. And
so an autobiography.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you then sort of move, from the writing and the modeling into acting?
So I had done some photographs, and I was, I had done a pictorial in Playboy as a part of my rebellion. And it was very interesting because I had cut all my hair off really short, and no one had ever looked like that in Playboy magazine. Wow. There was a very specific look, and the photographer Philip Dixon, who was shooting a lot of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar fashion, but he was Playboy's key photographer at the time. He loved this look and wanted to photograph it for the first time. So through the magazine, they were interviewing me, and they said, I was Bing Crosby's granddaughter, and this is. I think this caption read a different kind of Crosby. So a very large, famous casting director in Los Angeles traced me through the magazine and called me up. I was still living with my parents, and asked if I would come in to audition for a television movie called The Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker. I remember the name. Wow. And what that did was it began the journey and began the process. She said, you need to study. You have great natural talent, and when you go and you study with some of these teachers, after a bit, I'll help you get an agent. And so she really kind of pushed me forward.
Fantastic. And obviously, it worked out for you. You were cast in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I'm sure that lots of you guys recognized Denise from that. How was it working there for you? Did you really like the character?
Oh, I loved... the character of Tasha Yar, which is who I played on The Next Gen, was, groundbreaking in the sense that she was a female in a traditional male's role. And I've met so many young women now who were, little girls at the time, and they were so motivated by that. And again, this was 1986, we made 87, and there weren't a lot of women that looked like this on television shows, There was a very particular look that women sort of exemplified on television. And a lot of girls would turn on the TV and not find anything that they could relate to. So often they just were empowered by this character. What was difficult was they were not writing for this character. So at the end of the first season, I had to make a choice to either stay or go.
And do you think in hindsight that was the right thing to do, or do you prefer to stay on a bit longer at that time?
Well, it was absolutely the right thing for me to do at the time. I was exceedingly frustrated. And when Gene Roddenberry himself told me that the template that he was using for Star Trek was very much like the original, where the stories would revolve around the captain, Data, and the first officer, and that everyone else would sort of be filled in. It just worried me that, for the next 6 years, I was simply going to be standing there, in my position on the bridge, going, aye, aye, Captain. And, it wasn't what I wanted or was excited about doing. And
yeah. So when you were killed off by the alien, were you happy to, with that scene? Do you think it was a good death for Tasha?
Oh, I understand the concept that Gene wanted to write a very shocking death that was completely unprovoked. But I think that it was really a letdown for most people. They really wanted to see Tasha fight, for her life and save the crew members. So it was such a kind of a wonderful way to come back in yesterday's Enterprise and kind of, it's sort of redemption.
Well, we were talking about earlier how no one really dies in sci-fi, and you certainly got to reprise the role of Tasha and also as Commander Silo. Mm-hmm. So playing those two characters, coming back then, do you think that those episodes were better for you, or did you prefer the earlier episodes?
The first year that I was on the show, I think the writing was iffy. It got better. Mm-hmm. They got their bearings a little bit, and they got better writers into the show. But I think, I was hoping they would do more with Sela on the show. I mean, I had such an idea of a story arc for her, that she would sort of come around and find her human self and embrace it more.
Yeah, that would be good to see.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
And I know obviously the fans have kind of kept your character alive, and you like to engage with the fans, and you did a documentary, Trekkies. What made you decide to do that?
Well, so once I joined the cast, I was introduced into this world of fandom that I knew nothing about. Mm-hmm. I think always when someone experiences it for the first time, it's overwhelming. And so I was starting to engage with the fans, and I realized that their whole story is not being told, and they need to have a voice. I mean, there would be no Star Trek without the fans. It's such a symbiotic relationship. So I just couldn't believe no one had really looked at this yet, because as we see, Comic-Cons have just grown exponentially. And when I made Trekkies, we were just at the cusp of the change, where it was becoming okay to go to Comic-Cons now and go to fan cons and dress up and own it a little bit. Before, it was sort of nobody really talked about it, or you did it just amongst your friends, kind of knew about it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't out in the public eye as much. So our timing for Trekkies was really key, and we were very lucky. We caught it right as it was exploding, fandom.
And obviously in the documentary you focus on the fans and what they get up to. What was the most surprising thing that you learned about them?
Well, I mean, I had known that, relationships were made at cons, that, people had were doing incredible charity work and things like that. I just wanted everyone else to know that, to know that this wasn't just, some guy putting on, ears and going, to a convention, that there were other things involved, relationships made, people getting together in friendships and seeing each other over and over and over again. And, in Trekkies, I think I went to see a dentist, in
Yeah.
Florida, who I had tricked out his
The Star
entire
Trek
office.
themed dental
yeah,
office.
it was.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. I didn't know that was going on.
I don't know if I'd want to go see that dentist.
You
I'm
know,
not sure.
he wanted to look at my teeth.
Did he?
And then he said I needed a filling, and he said, I'll do it for you right now. And I went, no.
I'm good.
I'm not here to get my teeth filled.
And as you were mentioning, at that time, Star Trek was, I guess, one of the factors for bringing sci-fi and the genre into the mainstream, really. But when you first read the scripts for Star Trek: The Next Generation, did you think, what is this sort of nerdy niche, or did you think that's pretty cool? What was your first sign of reaction?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, they didn't give us a whole script. It was kept really under wraps. So they gave us just, what's referred to as sides, just for our own character, the scene for our own character. And originally, I read for the part of Deanna Troi. Mm-hmm. So I thought, this is, a betazoid? What is a betazoid? What is this thing? And I had no idea what I was looking
foreign
at.
language.
Yeah, they said, pretend she's just from like Scandinavia or something. And I remember I was working on a film called Miracle Mile at the time, and when I got the audition for Star Trek, and I was really pretty skeptical, I thought, oh no, they're going to do a remake of Star Trek? Oh no, this is a bad idea, this is not going to do well. This is such an iconic TV show and of its time, and this is 25 years later, and I don't know if this is going to fly. And they were making it for syndication.
Right.
So it wasn't even like on a real network, I thought, oh, this just sounds pretty cheesy. But, you got to work, so.
And it's as popular as ever now, and certainly with the newest iterations, the Star Trek movies and also Star Trek Discovery is coming out. And what do you make of Chris Pine? Do you think he's a good Kirk?
I think so. I think those guys have done a great job. There's some fans don't find this sort of J.J. Abrams reboot as really being Star Trek, J.J. opened up the movies more and made them more, action-oriented. But I think that's what it needed, It needed an infusion of that. And I think the cast is wonderful. It'll be interesting to see now the new Star Trek, because now it comes back to the television screen. Yeah. And I kind of like the idea of Star Trek with TV. That I like, they're really stories about human nature. And if we can get back to that, I think it'll be really, really quite good.
Well, Sonika Martin Green is heading up the cast of Star Trek Discovery as the new first officer. Are you excited to see her?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. And I haven't seen her since, I was on The Walking Dead. Yeah. So it'll be, it's kind of a nice mashup of people. And I think that's going to be, she's great. I love her. And women power. They're coming into their own now.
Yeah. And speaking of The
Walking Dead, wow.
There you are, as Mary. I have to ask, because she was part of the Terminus crew. Did you know that they were sadistic cannibals when you got the part?
Oh, my God. Talk about guarded scripts. They are really, really secretive. So much so that when I went to audition for the part of Mary, they wrote a separate scene that was only for the purpose of the audition, that had absolutely nothing to do with The Walking Dead. It was about buying a car, a woman buying a car. I mean, I had no idea. First of all, to be honest, I had never seen The Walking Dead when I got the part. So I had to binge watch, like 3 seasons
You must have been dreaming about zombies.
Oh my God. I can only tell you that I was a little on edge, when I'd go out in the backyard at nighttime. And, my son, who's this very big 6'4" athlete, plays baseball, he would watch it with me. And I said, are you like freaked out by this or anything? And he said, no, it's not. No. And then, one thing dropped in the kitchen and he leapt, to the ceiling. It was hysterical. But they didn't give me any information whatsoever about Terminus, about, what's going on. Very, very little until I got literally on the set in Atlanta.
So at what point did you realize that on your barbecue it was human flesh?
Well, they always said you're grilling up meat, and we don't know what that meat is. What?
Chicken? No?
Yeah, it's chicken. It's always chicken. But just, you guys have to do what you have to do to survive. And I went, okay. So it was like I was like free falling when I was acting. It was really kind of neat and different.
So were you into the zombie genre at all? Is that something that you like to watch horror movies?
I love horror films. But the zombie, I didn't, and then I started watching The Walking Dead, and I could see how gripping and how, amazing it is. But again, it's really about the characters, that you get into. But yeah, I love, all, like Stephen King. I can't wait to see it. And, I'm going to 2 Pet Cemetery, sort of events this year. They're kind of honoring Pet Cemetery. The American Cinematheque is doing a whole Stephen King honor.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm flying to Boston on Halloween. They're going to screen Pet Cemetery in a very special, brand new 35 millimeter print at a beautiful old historic theater there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'd be one to watch out for.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So speaking then of The Walking Dead, because it has got a huge fan base, which do you think is the more avid fan base, the Trekkies or the Walking Dead fans?
Wow. That's a hard one because I've been to the Walker Stalker conventions, and I would say it's about even right now, I mean, Star Trek is obviously, I think Star Trek is the granddaddy of them all. I mean, Star Trek started the fan convention back in, the 60s when the show was being threatened to go off the air. There were a couple of fans who put this little thing together in New York and started it right then and there. And it's, 50 years old, the original show. So they and it's not going anywhere. So, they're sort of the granddaddy of them all. But, as we see, there's just, it just depends what your favorite thing is. And The Walking Dead right now is huge. It's huge, and it's in its time. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, guys, if you want to ask questions to Denise, you have an opportunity right now. If you want to stick your hands up for me, and I'll come round to you. Here we go. Do you want to stand up for me?
Hiya, I'm just wondering, in season 1 of Star Trek, in the episode where the crew got took over by a love.
Where say it again, where the queue...
No, where the crew.
Oh, the crew, sorry.
Got took over by, like, a love thing, yo.
Oh, yes.
I know it was off screen now, but did Data and your...
You would ask that question. The one question. So you're speaking about the naked now, and remember once at the end of that episode, Tasha is all it never happened, but in my hologram, in my death scene, and I say to Data, and it did happen. So that was a line I threw in. That wasn't written in the script. And they tried to get me to not say that line, and I did it anyway. Because I said, what, are you going to fire me? So I threw it in. And I think, that it's an interesting thought because, Tasha had sex with an android, How many? I don't even want to think about that, okay?
Does it surprise you that Tasha and Data are still such a fan favorite couple?
Well, I mean, that episode, I think, was done with such a twinkle, If you look at, Brent and I, first of all, Brent is great, and we delight in each other's company, and that was genuine. And I think that translates in the show. So it's just a funny, wild little sort of bit of trivia,
little diversion.
Yeah, right.
Any more questions, guys? One over here.
Hi there. So I imagine you would have known that you were going out of the Star Trek series. My question is, did you know that Tasha Yar was going to die, or did they keep that secret from you? So, was it a shock when you found out, or?
Thank you. I knew that Gene was going to kill the character of Tasha Yar. He wanted to do it because it would be so shocking. He had never done anything like that. And so it was really kept secret. I think it started to leak out. It's so hard to keep these things, that's why The Walking Dead and stuff is so vigilant about their storylines. But yeah, he told me, and it was funny because it was just he and I in this meeting. And he didn't want me to leave the show, but he understood the need and the frustration that I was having, and he said, "I'm gonna kill this character." And he said, "The only problem with that is that you'll never be able to come back," which was unfortunately, he didn't live to see me do just that. So the irony, that stays with me. But I knew.
So you've been killed off a few times on TV.
I know. What is that? I think it extends my real life.
Yeah, it does, I suppose. Yeah, you have many different lives.
Yes.
But if you could reprise another character that's deceased now, which one would you choose?
Of another character. Wow.
Because you've been on Dexter.
Well,
Walking
oh
Dead,
God.
So many.
Yeah, I just keep dying, don't I? Wow. Well, let's see. Certainly, I was hoping that they would have done a whole season of Terminus. Mm-hmm. That was kind of an interesting, build up. They kept building up to this show, and I think because they had spent a whole season on the farm and then in the prison, they wanted just to keep the show moving.
Dead, yeah,
on The Walking Dead. So I think that was a really interesting character to sort of relook at.
Well, Mary might be walking around as a zombie somewhere. She's kind of alive, maybe.
Well, people have said we didn't actually see her get bit.
No.
So...
Yeah.
I don't.
Know.
I have long ago said never say never.
Yeah.
You just don't know with these things.
So bring Mary back. We'll see.
Right.
So we have just a couple of minutes left, and we have some quick-fire questions for you, hiding in our special TARDIS.
Oh.
So if you want to have a little look in there, pull out a couple of questions.
All right. You might have to. Oh, I don't have my glasses, so let's see if I can read them.
To read it?
Oh yeah. Way too small.
Okay, so, oh no, that's not actually a question.
Come on, TARDIS, work with me here.
Unless it's changed it into something I can't read. Okay. So, do you prefer the wand from Harry Potter or the sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who?
I think the wand.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely have a wand.
Yeah?
Yeah. Do magic with.
And next one.
Oh, these are quick fire.
Yeah,
Okay.
very quick. Okay, next one. Do you prefer aliens or demons?
Oh, I think aliens. I've just encountered nicer ones. The demons I've encountered have not been particularly nice.
Great. Okay, next one. Who is your favorite Marvel Avenger?
Oh no, I'm really not good at this Marvel world. Okay, well,
So you got Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man.
I like. Well, let's see. What are some others?
Help her out, guys. Who else do you guys like? Favorite Marvel Avengers? Black Widow? The Hulk?
I know. I should say the Hulk. Lou is here.
That's true.
In honor of Lou, I'm going to go with the Hulk.
So Lou's version of the Hulk.
Lou's version.
And
Okay.
final question. So, do you prefer Ghostbusters or Back to the Future?
Oh, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I actually read for that part.
Really?
In that Sigourney Weaver ended up doing. I think I had 5 callbacks for that thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. But I love those guys.
Well, we love you. Thank you so much for being here. It's fantastic. Everyone, give a massive round of applause to Denise Crosby.
Thank you so much. You guys are great.